The case of TikTok doctor Matthew Lani had South Africans talking for weeks on end. But what about accredited doctors who have allegedly botched surgeries and which has forever changed the lives of their patients? Now, Hlengiwe Mbambo, a public relations specialist, says she is currently seeking justice after a celebrity doctor allegedly injured her during what should have been a life-saving total hysterectomy last year. Mbambo says while her case is being dealt with by the Health Professions Council of South Africa, she believes so-called real doctors are getting away with ruining people's lives with very little accountability and consequence. She joins us now to tell us her story. Hlengiwe, thank you so much for joining us and again for your bravery. I mean, it must be a very lonely and long battle, but just give us the background.
Oh, it's been a difficult road for me, specifically because I come from breast cancer. When I found out last year that I had breast cancer, and just to fast forward, one of the conclusions of my doctor was, listen, you need to have. I had to have injections that induce menopause, but those were tiring, expensive. And I said to him, why don't we do a hysterectomy? I've got beautiful children already, and I just think this would help me going forward. I'm 36, I was 36 at the time. Yeah. And then when I did a total hysterectomy, I went to my trusted doctor, someone who has been my doctor for a very long time. And I did the total hysterectomy, and I think a few months, 3 months later, I found out that actually something is wrong with me. I had feeling pain, but I thought it was pain from the actual stitches. You know what I mean? You know when you're healing and stitches, you don't know these things. We're not doctors. So I remember saying to my doctor on WhatsApp, I said, look, there's something wrong. I don't think it's just the healing. You know, I went to go see him in February, and he was very casual about it. He was like, no, it's just the healing. Allow the healing to happen. And I said, doctor, let's check, because I feel like I was twitching, and there was an amount of pain here. Like literally every day my son had to like rub me every single day in my back. So when I got to the CT scan, I did the CT scan, it showed that my urologist actually like did a nice picture for me. So there's a tube that leaves your kidney to your bladder that helps the urine go down to your bladder so that you're able to pee, right? So faintly, when I was doing the hysterectomy, I remember the doctor saying to me faintly, like as I left the surgery, he said to me, I had to stitch your bladder. And I'm thinking, what is a gynecologist doing with a bladder?
Sorry, just turn that to camera 3 so for the viewers' benefit, as you explain what the, so to this camera over here. Sorry,
that one, yeah. Yes. So he said he stitched my bladder, and faintly I was like, what is he doing with my bladder? Because a bladder is an organ for a urologist, not a gynecologist, but I just didn't think of it at the time.
So at that point, he had obviously botched that operation because he had no business being around the bladder. And you say you vaguely remember him mentioning it, but there was no immediate response in terms of recovering, or rather fixing the problem.
He didn't say anything to me. He didn't say anything about the test that he took afterwards. Only now, because there's a case, right? I'm looking at all my tests. So what happened is, just before we go there, what happened was, while he was stitching my bladder, he nipped this tube by mistake and he closed me up. So I went home, and clearly this tube ended up splitting. So you can imagine my pee is now sitting here in my kidney, and that's what the pain was.
So you haven't been able to, I suppose, resume a normal sense of life. In other words, being, working and physically, what has the impact been of this botched operation?
It's been so difficult, especially for my partner. My partner's an actor. His name is Thabo Malema. I'm sure a lot of people know him. It's been very difficult. Working. I can't go and look for a job now. I'm in hospital every month because they're trying to fix. My urologist is an amazing doctor. He's trying to fix this thing that's been happening, but I get infections from a stent, I get this, and I land up in hospital. I was in hospital yesterday.
And thank you again, for sharing your story and for your bravery and the courage. So I just want to get to, off air I was telling you about a similar situation I had about 18 years ago with my oldest child. But you're often told by the health professionals it's difficult to prove any medical malpractice, because either they'll defend one another, those that are in theatre with you, or it's just going to be very costly and drawn out. What has been the support on your side?
I think for me, I like exploring, I like reading a lot. So I remember looking through, like, where do I complain about a doctor? And this is after numerous questions to my urologist. What happened during that surgery? What happened? Because clearly something happened. That's why I'm up and down here. And I saw that HPCSA is possibly the best place to go. But when I read through articles, I hear that it takes 2 years for them to conclude a case. And I'm thinking to myself, in that 2 years, I could be dead. In that 2 years, the doctor could do this to somebody else. Why does it take so long? And then I went to them. I also realized during my cancer time, there was support because there's information. With this, there isn't. We don't know where to go. We don't know who to talk to. There's a whole group on Facebook of people that have either lost children, people of my color that don't know where to go. So it was very difficult in the beginning to know what to do and how to do it. And fortunately for me, I had the resources. So I have lawyers at the moment that are also helping me. There are lawyers, when you go on Google, that say, when you win, you'll pay. You know what I mean?
So it's done like pro bono.
Not pro bono,
rata.
but then it puts you at the end of the list as well.
Yeah. But it's important, you know, to stand up for justice and
Definitely.
for other people not to suffer the same as you have. Going into this battle, I'm sure it's not something that you had prepared yourself to do. But what is it, that burning fire in you, that says you can't let it go?
Sometime during the year, I put it out on social media that I wasn't feeling very well. And I've just had people in the industry, specifically the PR industry, because that's where I am, that were very supportive. They say, you know, you've been through a lot and we look up to you. And not just them, but I've had so many stories of women that have come to me saying, this is what happened to me. I don't know what to do. This is what happened to me. And I said to myself, you know what? If I'm going through this, I'm going to speak. I remember my post yesterday. I said I will roar like a lion to whoever, to as far as I can, because this is an issue and no one is talking about it at the moment. And it's an issue for people that are marginalized as well, who don't know where to go. So if I can't speak about my journey and speak about the fact that I have to wait for HPCSA for 2 years to conclude a case that is so clear.
No other avenues, in other words, a criminal case, or I'm just trying to think if the health professions council is taking 2 years, and they themselves will probably only come up with a recommendation. I don't think if they've got the jurisdiction to necessarily charge a bogus doctor or alleged bogus doctor.
They actually do. I think what happens is they'll get your case and they'll get all the information. They get the doctor to respond to what is alleged, right? And after that, obviously, a committee will sit down and say, okay, this person is actually guilty, and they pay a penalty, or either maybe they
disbarred, or
something like that. But it doesn't compensate me. Now I have to go to lawyers for me to be able to be compensated for the fact that I'm not working. I've got bills on bills because of doctors. Every month I have to, you know, sort of be like, oh, medical aid is coming and I know I need to pay for this. I've removed everyone on my medical aid. The only person that there is me, because we know that I have to be there. Yeah. You know?
So what would you want to happen for you to, you know, have some hope, you know, that there is justice in the world? And I'm not sure if you've reached out to government, or, you know, what kind of support, what would you hope would come out of this?
Firstly, I hope that HPCSA looks at the case and doesn't just defend anybody. I'm currently shooting a documentary with a director called Hlengiwe Mbambo. We're shooting a documentary around the negligence of cases of negligence in South Africa. So I'd like the support of people. I'd like the HPCSA to make sure that this case is looked at properly, and not just one other case, and not just my case only, but all the cases. It doesn't take 2 years to look at a file and conclude. I've looked at all my files, and the proof and the evidence is there. It does not take 2 years.
Anyway, strength to you. It's something that we'll obviously keep a watch on, and you keep us updated as well on the progress. Strength, power, and success to you. And, you know, Godspeed. May it all just be expedited so that you can have peace and a semblance of a normal life. So we really appreciate it. That's Hlengiwe Mbambo. She's sharing her story of an alleged botched surgery that had literally destroyed her life to a point where she's unable to work, and has accumulated mountains and mountains of medical bills as well.